What's up guys, welcome to the Google Ads and eCom Q&A, where you can ask me questions about Google Ads, e-commerce, dropshipping, performance marketing in general, and I answer them in a quick video like this. If you want me to answer your question, no matter how difficult or unique or strange it may be, make sure to put it in the comments below and maybe I will pick your question for one of the upcoming videos. With this being said, let's dive into the first question, which is there a potential to scale with a store with like 5 products? Well, this is about Google Ads, I assume, right? Because it was below a Google Ads video. Yes, definitely, it's possible, but it entirely depends on those products. So many people tend to forget that with Google Ads, you are basically at the mercy of existing demand, right? So what does this mean? If you are in a niche that is very new or very small by definition, let's say you are in a niche where the entire demand in the US is just 5,000 impressions or 5,000 searches per month. Now, if you take those 5,000 searches and let's just assume a click-through rate of 5%, this would be more for search, right? For shopping, it's usually between 1 and 2%. Let's just say 2% in shopping, so a pretty good case. 5,000 searches, 2%. This means that in this particular case, you would get 100 clicks a month. So that's obviously not a lot, right? And sure, there are always people who then search for something again. They are not included in the statistics, so they might go to a competitor, then they might get back to your page. I know you cannot just calculate it like that, but the point is, if there is very little demand for the niche itself or for the product itself, you cannot really artificially grow it. You could use other traffic sources or other campaign types like discovery, display, or YouTube or something. Then you could maybe scale it to the next level. But for the existing demand that is basically expressed by search and shopping search volume, then not everything is necessarily scalable to the moon. So I have worked with a lot of clients where I talk also to a lot of people that tell me, hey Marco, I'm doing 30K per month right now, but it seems to be impossible to scale. Now, sometimes there is, in fact, a lot more room to scale. We had cases where we went from 30 to 100 to 200 or something, even though it seemed impossible in the beginning. But in fact, there are also cases where you might very well have hit a cap, and either you need other traffic sources like Facebook, or you need to explore more campaign types in Google, and you really have to step up your game to get this remaining traffic. If you have very popular products with lots of searches, then sure, pretty much everything is potentially scalable to 6 or 7 figures a month. With this being said, now the second question. Thanks for the video. I have 2 questions, sir. If I have a product that has 4 sizes, means I have 4 variations of the feed of the Google Merchant Center. So now for my shopping campaign group, should I add all variations in the product group? Then how can I judge to take off the product when it's spent over my break even? So essentially, when you have one product with multiple variants, how do you make sure that you exclude the product if it doesn't work when this is just like different colors or different sizes in case of a t-shirt, for example, right? Well, I would treat variations if they are very close, like in clothing, sizes, color, weight, or something like that. I would treat them as one product because it's very unlikely that it's pretty unlikely that a product will not work in size M, but it will suddenly work extremely well in size L, for example. That's pretty unrealistic. That doesn't really make sense. So treat them as one. It makes sense to test them if you only have few products, but I would really treat them as one product when it comes to reporting, when it comes to making a judgment on whether it's profitable or not, because the difference between a product in size M and size XL is not as big as the difference between 2 entirely separate products. So whenever possible, test totally individual, unique products rather than just sizes. And if you do, you can basically count them as one and then say, okay, this product works or it doesn't. That's the better way to do it, in my opinion. Then we have my shopping ad has 0 impressions for 1 week now for 5 euros a day. What's going on with it? It doesn't charge money, but it doesn't even function. All products approved by Google. Well, that's a very, very typical issue. And there are usually 2 reasons for that. Well, technically 3. The third one is a little tough. The first reason, very obvious, your bid is too low. The daily budget of 5 euros has nothing to do with your bid and whether it will show up or not, right? So if you're bidding 10 cents per click, for example, and you have a 5 euro per day budget, technically you could get 50 clicks a day, but 10 cents are not enough in almost any auction for almost any product on Google Ads. The average CPC on shopping is probably in the range of like 50 to 70 cents. I have cases where we spent less than 10 cents. I have cases where we spent more than $3. But I would say the average is somewhere in the 50 cent to 70 cents range. And if you bid too low, if you start with maximized clicks, but you have a bid limit in place that is too low, or you start with manual CPC and you bid just 20 cents or something, then your ad may not trigger at all. You may literally get 0 impressions because you're too far away from the auction. Now, normally if your bid is too low, you at least get some impressions here and there, because sometimes you actually slip into the auction, right? But it might very well be that you just don't. So the first thing, try to really increase your CPC limit, maybe to something crazy like $2, just to see if that's the reason, and then you can switch it back. The second reason for that is that your ad, it could be, of course, an issue in demand or something, but let's assume that's not the case. But it could also be that your ad is very, very low quality. Now, that's really something that I don't that I cannot really imagine here, because typically then you get low click-through rates and then you get less impressions later. But starting with 0, usually it's a bit issue, but it could also be a quality issue in here when you are not showing up anymore. But again, that's usually later on and not from scratch. Since you said that your products are approved, I expect everything to be fine on Merchant Center. Sometimes you have account issues, sometimes you have product issues, sometimes the products are set live for free listings, but not for shopping ads. So make sure that literally everything is in place and ready to go for shopping ads specifically, and not just for those other programs. Last but not least, every now and then there is a total issue with shopping and you cannot, get it to work at all. I had cases in the past where literally we were setting up or where clients came to me that had a campaign going for weeks and it literally had 0 impressions no matter what they did. And here the issue is there is no fix for that, right? It could be that way for months or weeks, and then suddenly it works. We tried using different feeds, we tried using different input options, different products, different copy, different everything, and still in some cases it didn't work. Sometimes it helps to just have a new Google Ads account, new Merchant Center account or whatever, or simply wait. But if you tried all these things that I mentioned before, bidding, make sure that everything on Merchant Center is in place, maybe change the image, change your product description, title, everything, then this might be the case and there is no real fix for that besides, as I said, waiting or using a new account to run that, because then there is some issue that is beyond what we can do essentially as the advertiser. And then we have the last question, which is, I sort of have a new Google Ad account. I made a test between manual CPC versus maximized clicks for a standard shopping campaign. Is this a good idea? I get the idea behind that, and it kind of makes sense, but I wouldn't do it that way, because I would, when I start a new account, a new store, whatever, I would put all products or all testing in one big campaign and then let it optimize and improve over time. The biggest amount of optimization takes place on the campaign level, and if you artificially stretch it and split it among multiple campaigns, you are basically harming the optimization. So put it in one campaign. Normally I go with manual CPC, but if you put a bid limit to maximize clicks, it can also work. Just make sure that you don't use any other bidding strategy. Just decide between one of those two. Again, I prefer manual CPC personally. And then just go with that. But don't test bidding strategies in the beginning. They won't be much of a difference between those two when you start out. And if you recognize one, then I can almost guarantee it's random. It's not that maximize clicks delivers better results. It's not that manual CPC necessarily delivers better results, because in the beginning, Google doesn't know what you do. They don't know what you sell. They don't know what your ideal customer is. So just use one, start, and then when you make sales, etc., then at some point you can think about enhanced CPC, target ROAS, target CPA, and so on. But the decision between those two is actually very simple, and don't use them at the same time. So those were your 4 questions. I hope that they were helpful for you. If you have a question like these, maybe more complex, maybe just something that you couldn't solve for a long time now, put it in the comments right now. Maybe I can already help in the comments with a quick answer there, or I will actually give a more in-depth answer in a video like this. If you enjoyed this content, of course, leave a like and subscribe to this channel for more e-commerce, Google Ads, and dropshipping content. And if you want to get in touch with me, to work with me together personally, to help me, to make me help your campaigns, that's the right way, then just click the link in the description where you get to a page where you can work with me, where you can get my training and essentially become a Google Ads master to skyrocket your sales. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I look forward to see you in the next one as well. And until then, bye-bye and all the best.